So effectively then, Steve, if you're laying, you're betting quite big odds on in a lot of cases. I mean, is there a limit to how much you'll stand them for to win a certain amount of money, or do you just think best value, I've got to lay it?
I think that the way the betting exchange mechanism is nowadays, I think you're wary of going absolutely in the deep end with something that you might not have been as wary of going in the deep end with, say, 10, 15 years ago, because I don't think there's not that much money, what you'd class as mug money, around anymore. You know, like in the past, if I didn't think something could win, I'd lay 40 to 1 to 300 quid. I wouldn't even think any more of it. I'd just think, well, that's 300 quid I've won, I ain't going to win. It's walking around the paddock with its, you know, head up in the sky and whatever, a first time out one. And I never even used to entertain the idea of it winning. But generally nowadays, the market is pretty, you know, it's pretty precise, and late in the piece is the only time you can really do any business anyway. I mean, the morning skirmishes are, well, you can shorten or lengthen horse for really, you know, a donut nowadays. So I wouldn't be quite as brave at 48 as I was when I was 28 or 38 maybe.
So it's a far cry now from how it used to be when Eddie Baxter down in the south used to go up 10 or 15 minutes before the first and the market was formed. I mean, and what is the big difference? Oh, the obvious difference is the machine, but...
Well, the main difference is, I mean, like the only way I can describe it is, in the south and the southeast, there was a chap. He always used to go up first at Windsor's, Ascot's and whatever. He's a nice bloke, Alan Marcel his name is. I used to bet as H&S. I got absolute packets at the game. When the game was good, they had all the best pitches. And like, he used to go there, just have the border runners off the Portsea Press and whatever. And like they'd either get a card off of I can't remember what his name is now. I'm not sure he's with us anymore. I think it might have been Neil Wilkins, or they'd have someone else doing the sheets for them. Back then, there was a lot more homework. You know, as in there was a lot more form study. You know, there wasn't like a Betfair show in front of you at 11 o'clock like some of these lads will be working off today here. You know, it's 2.16. They'll go 11 to 10. You know, simple as that nowadays. But way back then, you know, the main difference is he'd price the board up on a novice hurdle at, say, Windsor or whatever, 16 runners or 15 runners, and he'd be 5 of all this, then he'd be 9 of all that, then he'd be 7 of 2 that, then he'd be 8 that, then he'd be 12 that, then he'd be 33 that, then he'd be 16 that, and he'd have 9 or 10 33 to 1 chances on the board, but he still had about 125 round the other 7 or 8 that could win. Nowadays, them 33 to 1 chances are all 800 or 500 or 600. There ain't a carrot for them in the entire country. No, but bearing in mind that, you know, the online game really isn't any good for having a bet. If you know, because you're more liable to get shut down than not. There ain't. You might lay them 50 bob each way on the track, 150 to 1 or whatever. But the fact that somebody wants to lay a tenner at 800 or 40 quid at 1,000 before they've even set foot on the track pretty much tells you what chance they've got.
Okay, Steve, as well as the horse racing, I wasn't about there, but you've been active in the dogs. Obviously, you said about overshot flapping. Any other stories about the dogs early days?
Well, not so many stories. I mean, it was just a vibrant game back in the 90s. A bit, you know, it's such a shame to see what it's come to. I mean, like, I used to go open racing. You know, your mate, your Star Sports mate, Lofty, he was a regular feature at Portsmouth and Sittingbourne and all them places. He used to go there, and I used to go out open racing with a fella from Swindon, little Robert from Crudwell. Like, we could go to Norton Keynes on a Monday, you know, right in the, you know, up in the up in the north of Birmingham. We could go to Oxford on a Tuesday, Swindon on a Wednesday. You could just go anywhere. Wembley, you could just go anywhere. Reading always used to be Thursday night opens. I made a book at Reading for about a year and a half, after clerking there for, I don't know, 8 or 10 years prior, but it had gone a bit by then, and it worked out. I was there for a year. Funnily enough, my point-to-point clerk, Winkle, he's about 76 now. He still comes out and clerks me at the point-to-points, but he was Norman Adey when Derek Adey lost his life. They let him go and bet at the dogs, and a few of them they went there for a year and they'd done their money. They went there. Someone else went there for a bit longer, done their money, and I went there with him for a year. Sort of on the way as it was nearing its shutting, I think 2008, 2009, and it worked out. I went there for a year, and over the period of the year, we had a few punters. We had a reasonable knowledge of the form. I ended up myself. I got £158 a week. That was what I averaged out. And I could have got 150 quid a week clerking for 3 nights. So it weren't really worth the aggro for the extra 8 quid, to be honest with you. It's like that dog game's our game when there's no one there. Just stand there scratching your cobblers all night long. No good. No good.
Well, so you still poach your turn gamekeeper, bet on point-to-points, and stand up and take backs as a bookie. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been going for probably 20 odd years or so. A friend of mine from Brighton, Paul Marshall, he's Albion Racing. We used to have a few racecourse pitches, but due to the fact he didn't bother going out very much, he decided to sling his racecourse pitches in and get rid of them. We bet at about 35 or 40 meetings a season. We do the Kent and Surrey area, where they normally have about 11 or 12 meetings, and I go to East Anglia, some of the South Midlands, the Sandhurst area. Funny enough, we had the first meeting of our season last weekend at Cottenham, which is up near Cambridge, and it averages about 30, 35, 40 meetings a year. It's enjoyable. There's no betting exchange activity, so it's the bookie's knowledge against the punter's knowledge, which is, quite refreshing, because you actually know who you're backing and laying the horses, against. So that's quite good. And I'd have to say that the East Anglian area, they are by a long way the hottest form judges. They know, like, whatever a bookie would know who does his own work. I mean, I do plenty of own work. It'd take me 4 or 5 hours to try and do a card. Whatever the bookie would know, them punters know exactly the same. They're absolutely red hot up there, especially early season. But I do think generally, from a point-to-point bookie's perspective, I tend to think you've got more chance from sort of like, late March until May, when the weather gets nicer and you get more of the customers who you think you're going to beat, as in the day out people, rather than playing against the hardened, wizened, cold weather, early season, up the coal face at Hampton type of punters. But, I do enjoy it immensely. I enjoy it a lot more than coming racing.
So have you got any punters there that you think, oh no, leave me out, when you see them marching up?
There's a few. I mean, I think a lot of it. I think once you're liable to give someone half a fair bet. Like if someone wants a 500 or 2 and you're prepared to bet them a 500 or 2 at a point, or somebody wants a 1050s or a bet of decent size to lose a monkey or whatever, I think you've always got a chance of laying bets. I mean, I was at Cottenham at Sunday last week, and Laurie, the clerk, very cleverly arranged for his grandkids' Christmas party, so he didn't have to come out in the cold, which was quite clever. And up there, it's all booking tickets, like the old days. You know, you have your old whiteboard, booking tickets and whatever. So I had to do the job. I had to do the 2 jobs. One man had to do 2 jobs. I had to put the prices up, take the bets as well. And at the weekend, I laid 6 half decent each way bets on the day, and all 6 of them copped. Not for a great deal of loss, but that sums up the customer you're playing against. I laid in a race, the Ladies Open, where a good horse won it, Bound for Glory. I laid the trainer 14 to 1 to 30 quid each way the second, and then his boy come up and had 8 to 1 to 30 quid each way on the off. That was 60 quid a place. That copped. I laid a 10 ponies each way, something to a bookmaker. You know where that finished, 8 runners, that finished third. I laid 60 quid each way, something else, one race, about 8 to 1. That fell in third. It was one of them each way days, but you just got to accept that. That's part of the game.
And what's the best part of that life?
I just think, number one, the fresh air is good. When it's pissing down with rain, it's a bit different, but number one, the fresh air is good. Number two, you get a different class, you get a different type of person goes point to point racing. They're all very friendly, they all enjoy it for what it is. They're not worried about trying to sell the winner of the maiden for 300 grand or anything like that. And generally they're nice people. They're genuinely nice people who enjoy a day out in the fresh air with a cup of coffee with a tot of brandy in it to warm them up, and it's nice. I enjoy it. I wish there was 120 meetings a year I could go to. Put it that way, Simon.